Go for it. So, how do you do construction on the side, Justin? These are two very big worlds.
And when on the side? When?
Yeah, it's like having a wife and a mistress. I mean, how do you do these things, Justin?
Funny enough, you do that really easily in the Caribbean.
Yeah. I've heard that. Yeah.
I mean, it has its challenges. I think it's more like project management, because there's a lot of people here that try to build their own houses. They're working, they have jobs, they try to build a house, they would get a contractor, and they hope that the contractor serves them, you know. I think here, Seth has had a lot of, Seth has lead a lot of the contractors and persons in the construction field, so tends to know the persons that are good versus the persons that are not, and you know, the persons that will kind of like work to your advantage versus their own. And I think that's pretty important, because it comes down to, I think, people management, or management in general, of time and persons. So being able to manage your time, being able to manage their time, because Seth might be able to allude to this as well, is that when you're dealing with things in Barbados, they tend to move a bit slowly. And sometimes you need to write people, or you need to be constantly on them in order to be able to kind of get the outputs that you require or desire. So a lot of it really is sometimes that you have to know the person that you need to keep checking on, so that then they keep checking on the other person. Because I guess it might feel, when you're at IT, sometimes like people come to you, or the boss knows who to check for what. It comes down to the same thing. You need to be able to know who to manage, so that then they can manage the other person. And if you are knowledgeable, it makes it a lot more difficult for the person to kind of like pull the wool over your eyes than if you have no clue whatsoever. But that helps quite a bit, honestly.
And just as we're on that subject, how do you adapt to, how do you change? How do you adapt to that change? If you do, where do you innovate, whether it's personally or professionally, and how do you prosper from that, or where do you hope to prosper from that, if you do?
Are we talking about construction alone, or are we talking about
you tell me, anywhere. How do you do that?
Construction people. So let's. So what about you?
Are we going into the dark arts of construction? No, okay.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Let's go to IT. Or no, is that a dark art as well?
IT.
Jedi Master, so I'll leave it.
Can I ask about the time
Definitely
management?
Jedi Master when it comes to the construction part. But I guess like in IT, things are changing constantly. Nothing really. Even just look at how COVID-19 let everybody move from being in the office to working remotely at home. I mean, the changes that are coming about from this alone are going to be very innovative in terms of what we've had to do in terms of getting persons to be able to work remotely, and even in terms of what is going to happen next. Project management is very similar. In project management, you always get thrown something. in IT, you always throw in something that you need to be able to, you need to be able to find your way around it. My concept is that there's always a solution to a problem. You just need to be able to find the solution, and sometimes it just needs to be, you just need to be innovative, or you need to be crafty in order to find the solutions to the things that you have problems with at the time.
Okay, and does that apply to, is that your philosophy from a personal perspective, professional, or both?
Everything, every solution has a problem. Sometimes, I always say life is as hard as you make it. So a lot of times we have the answers to the questions that we want the answers to. It's just that we don't want to acknowledge what they are. Um, and if you come to this stage where you, well, this is what we need to do, and you do it, the problem can be solved. If you direction, sometimes you end up still having to go that direction anyway, and a lot of time is then lost. So you haven't really gained anything.
Right, because obviously personally and professionally as a creative person, change is inevitable, working in film and
Change happens.
freelancing.
Change happens whether you you want it to or not.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we need to do is that you need to be able to.
Sorry, did you freeze
Yeah,
up?
so,
Can you? Yeah, sorry. Could you repeat that again, Justin? You just froze up a bit.
Yeah, sorry. What I was saying is that normally change happens anyway. It's inevitable. So again, comes back to life is as hard as you make it. If a change is occurring and you struggle against it, then you're gonna feel it. Sometimes if you go with it, it might not be that bad. So be like Bruce Lee. Be like.
Just do it. And what about you, Seth?
I think, as Justin was saying, I'm in the construction industry, but really every industry is a construction industry, and the good thing is basically with my trade, I now actually have to have some knowledge of all the other trades and also the industry, so working in any industry. So inevitably you have to now try and be a jack of all trades and learn a little piece of the industry, what they need in their construction to actually be able to produce. And, as Justin was saying, it's always changing. Some, like the IT industry, a lot faster than others. So fortunately, construction is kind of easy in some aspects of it being very slow in the old traditional methods, which somewhat are proven and we know they work. But then the actual industry you're working in, you have to learn to work with those specifications and what their changes are as well.
Yeah. That's very important, and I guess it's getting comfortable with uncertainty. And once you, I guess, in a metaphysical way, where you prove your mettle is in the area of the unknown, uncertainty. Because if everything is the way it is all the time, you're not challenged to find out how good you can be, I guess. Or can you have that? Can you have that philosophy in construction? Because I guess the numbers have to be right. You cannot make any mistakes. You can't. Can you kind of go off left field in construction or not?
You still have to kind of stay within the traditions,
right?
But there's always more to learn. So if you say, well, I'm experienced, okay, you have so much experience, but you can now venture out and actually get expertise in many different avenues, really. And the same applies in nearly any work you're doing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and I think with
I mean, like you gotta work with constraints in almost any industry, but at the end of the day, there's still certain flexibility that you can exercise within the constraints. So sometimes you just need to think of a different solution or a different way Sometimes you need to put a couple of things together in order to be able to get a particular solution. But there's a solution somewhere. It's just that you need to be able to find it. Sometimes it requires your creativity or leaning on the creativity of someone.
Yes, definitely. Maria, have you got any last words before we conclude?
No, that's it.
No, I think it's good. I think cats are meowing, dogs are barking, children are scraping at the door. Family's trying to get in through the door. So with that, I'll put a pin in it. Thank you so much, Justin and Seth. I think, on the top of my head, I think I'm going to have you guys back on again because I want to get more into the agricultural side, because I know we were talking about construction, but I think it would be really interesting to get your view on the farming side, because I know that you're both quite passionate about that, especially the farming side in the Caribbean. And are there practices and methods that the Caribbean's doing that can share that with, you know, other countries? Because there's always this viewpoint that the Caribbean's behind, and maybe you might have some practices and traditions and methods that's actually quite forward thinking because you are in and of the terrain you're in. So if that's of any interest to you, I'll definitely have you guys.
Definitely, yeah. It's a good one to talk about, and particularly looking at countries like Cuba and how they went through the peak oil crisis and the productivity they managed to achieve without all of the big industry. Is definitely is something we need to look at for sure.
And obviously with Guyana, they've got this big discovery of oil, and the infrastructure. I mean, when I've been to meetings, the infrastructure has to be worked on because sometimes they don't have roads to get this is what I'm being aware of. There's no roads to get the lorries down there and the drilling machinery. So yeah, that would be interesting. So let's schedule time to have you guys back on talking about your experiences in the farming, agriculture side, because that would be really, really interesting to find out about that. So
I have to get off in a minute.
Yes, somebody is kicking you out of the living room. Okay, so with that being said, with that being said, thank you so much, guys. It was so wonderful to meet you virtually. And we'll definitely speak off camera, but for now, thank you. Have a lovely day, Maria.
Right,
guys, don't switch off just yet because I want to chat to you and put some stuff in the diary. But thank you so much, and we'll speak to you all soon. Thank you. Bye bye.
I want it, I got it. I want it, I got it.